Hello everyone and welcome back to Miss Slovak's Storytime. This is part 4 of Calendar Mysteries November 9th. This will be the final part of this chapter book series, so if you have not listened to parts 1 through 3, go ahead and listen to those before you listen to this one. If you like the chapter book series, be sure to give this video a thumbs up so then that way I can make more. If you have your copy of the book, go ahead and grab it so you can read along with me. Chapter 8. Surprise! Killer barked like a maniac. His eyes and teeth shone in the moonlight. He reared up on his hind legs and slammed his giant front paws into Bradley's chest. My nightmare is coming true, Bradley thought as he landed on his back on the grass. 100 pounds of hairy black dog piled on top of him. A huge pink tongue washed his face. Bradley was too scared to yell. "Daisy, get off!" a voice shouted. Bradley looked up. He saw a boy tugging on the dog's collar. Then a girl was there, and she was tugging too. They both had brown hair. They looked about 10 years old. Finally, Daisy got off, and Bradley looked up. Brian, Nate, and Lucy were standing with Bradley's parents, who were wearing bathrobes. Josh was there too, wearing sweatpants, a hoodie, and a silly grin. Suddenly, Pal raced through the gate into the crowd. He and Daisy sniffed each other, then began racing around the yard playing doggy tag. "What are you guys doing here?" Bradley asked his family. "A better question," his dad said, "is what are you doing here?" Josh helped Bradley up off the ground. The two new kids were standing next to the neighbors. "These are our grandchildren from Florida," Mrs. Sargent said. "Charlie and Maddie." Everyone said hi. "It's cold out here," Mr. Sargent said. "Let's go inside." 11 people crowded into the neighbor's kitchen. "Find your seat, everyone," Mrs. Sargent said. "The hot chocolate is almost ready." Bradley blinked under a bright light. A long table was set with 11 places. There were 11 mugs, 11 napkins, 11 spoons. A plate of cookies sat in the middle of the table. The cookies were shaped like turkeys with raisins for eyes. On each placemat was a cardboard turkey name tag. Bradley found his name and sat down. Then he laughed. Standing next to his mug was his flashlight. Next to him, Brian laughed too. There was his jar of money. "They knew we were coming," Bradley said to himself. Soon, everyone began sipping from the mugs and on cookies. "How did you know about Operation Brian?" Brian asked. "A little birdie told us," Mr. Sargent said, "so we knew you were curious about what was going on under our tarp. The same little birdie told us your plan about sneaking over here tonight," Bradley's mother said. "What little birdie?" Bradley asked. Josh grinned and patted himself on the chest. "Tweet, tweet," he said. "I heard you guys talking in your room. You should keep your door closed." "We had fun sitting in the dark and watching you sneak into the yard," Mrs. Sargent said. "And I heard you creeping past my door," Josh said. "You were about as quiet as a herd of elephants." "So I nearly broke my neck for nothing," Brian said. "And I got attacked by a giant dog for nothing," Bradley said. "Daisy wouldn't hurt a fly," Maddie said. "She just wanted to kiss you." "If you had asked, we would have told you," Mrs. Sargent said. "We're building a special Thanksgiving surprise for Charlie and Maddie." "Granddad, what is it?" Charlie asked. "I can't wait till tomorrow." Mr. Sargent stood up and looked at his watch. "Well, since it's almost 1 in the morning, it's officially Thanksgiving Day," he said. "Let's go take a look." Charlie and Maddie raced out the door. Bradley, Brian, Nate, and Lucy ran after them. Everyone gathered in front of the blue tarp. Mrs. Sargent tugged on a rope, and the tarp fell to the ground. The surprise was tall and silver and shiny. It gleamed in the moonlight. "It's a space shuttle!" Maddie shouted. "Thank you, Grandpa and Grandma!" Charlie and Maddie lived near the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, Mrs. Sargent explained. "They love to go there and see the launches, so we decided to build them their own shuttle in our backyard." "But where's the tree?" Bradley asked. "It's inside," Mr. Sargent said. "We cut off most of the branches and used some of the wood inside the shuttle. The tree is very old, so we used cement and steel bars to make it stronger. The spaceship was made of aluminum that covered the tree." and light shone through round windows. There was a door to go inside. "It's wonderful," Bradley's mother said. "What clever new neighbors we have." "Can we go in it?" Nate asked. "Of course," Mr. Sargent said. Kids opened the door and stepped inside, where Bradley and Brian used to play. The wood from the tree branches had been turned into seats. A rope ladder hung from the top. One by one, the kids climbed the ladder. It led to a platform where they could sit on pillows. Sticking up from the floor were a bike seat and 2 pedals attached to a chain. The chain was hooked up to a small motor. Charlie sat on the bike seat, put his feet on the pedals, and pushed down. Suddenly, one of the windows turned into a TV screen. At first, it was black, but then the kids saw planets and stars appear. "Awesome," Nate said. "I feel like an astronaut." Chapter 9. Thanksgiving Friends. Everyone got a chance to go inside the space shuttle. Finally, the kids began to yawn. "Okay, it's time to call it a night," Bradley's father said. "Happy Thanksgiving, everyone." Bradley, Brian, Nate, and Lucy went back to the twins' room. Within minutes, they were all asleep. On Thanksgiving morning, a loud barking woke Bradley. He crawled over Nate's sleeping bag and looked down at the ground. On the other side of the fence, Daisy was barking. Pal was sitting on his side of the fence, barking back. Brian woke up and looked out the window. Mr. Pinto and Mr. Sargent were standing by the fence talking. Mr. Sargent was holding his chainsaw. Nate sat up. "What's going on?" he asked. "My dad and Mr. Sargent are out there talking," Bradley said. Lucy's head popped up. She rested her chin on the sill and looked down. Suddenly, Mr. Sargent started the chainsaw. He began cutting the fence. In 2 minutes, there was a big space where a section of the fence had fallen to the ground. Pal raced into the sergeant's yard. He and Daisy began chasing each other. "Oh my gosh, there's a big hole in the fence," Bradley said. "Charlie and Maddie are already playing in the shuttle," Brian said. The 4 kids ran downstairs and dashed outside. Charlie and Maddie waved to them. "Come on up," they yelled. The cutout section of fence was lying on the grass. Mr. Sargent was measuring it with his shiny tape. "I can make a nifty gate out of this wood," he said. "I think I've got some hinges in the barn," Bradley's father said. "What are you doing, Dad?" Bradley asked his father. "Our new neighbor decided there should be a gate here," Mr. Pinto said. Mr. Sargent smiled. "Our grandkids will be leaving soon, and we want you kids to play in the space shuttle while they're gone," he said. "The gate will always be unlocked for you." Mrs. Sargent poked her head out the back door. "What's all the racket?" she asked. "Grandpa cut part of the fence down," Charlie said. "Oh, what a marvelous idea," Mrs. Sargent said. "Now it'll be so much easier to get to know our new neighbors." Bradley's mother opened her back door. "Everyone come over for juice and muffins," she called across the yard. Charlie and Maddie came down, and they all walked through the hole where the fence once stood. Bradley whispered to his mother, "Mom, can we invite everyone over for Thanksgiving dinner?" His mother smiled. "I already asked them," she whispered back. "Now I just have to figure out where to get a bigger table." Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along for more videos. Bye!